lot of y'all that watch this show are Sooner faithful. And so talk to some people that we know down there in Norman and said, what's going on in fall camp? Give me the big takeaways so far. And probably the most notable takeaway is these guys look bigger, stronger, faster. These guys being obviously the Sooner football team. And a lot of people will say this when they open camp. Wow, offseason was good to them. Hey, winter conditioning, they did a good job, got leaner, got stronger. That's probably the case a lot of places, but the reason why this is such a bullet point for Oklahoma is because they have someone who is a staple to that program from 1999, 2017, Jerry Schmidt, Schmitty, as he is fondly referred to, is back on campus running the strength conditioning for Oklahoma. You probably know that name or know that nickname from the Malcolm Kelly freestyle, messing with Schmitty in the summertime. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but he's a big part of what they do at Oklahoma. And so for him to come back under Brent Venables, got the fan base excited, got former players excited. Twitter erupted when he got hired about, oh man, Schmitty's about to get a hold of him. Hang on tight, boys. Winter conditioning's about to be a beast. Sounds like it was, and it has been for this team. And that's something they need to continue to lean into as they slowly make the transition to the SEC in the very near future. But ultimately, this is a good sign because there were times last year, and Oklahoma fans will say this is one of the biggest knocks they had against Lincoln Riley was, hey, we weren't tough enough at times. We weren't physical enough at times. And so when you revamp the strength conditioning program, you are essentially putting a bullseye on those weaknesses and saying, hey, we got to up the ante. And for those that aren't familiar, your strength and conditioning coach spends the most time with you as a college athlete. Because there are periods during the year where you can't be with your position coach. You can't go and do on-field drills. Like, there's rules to this. You spend just about every single week during the calendar year with your strength conditioning coach. You guys get a lot of face time. And so to have someone that is true to Oklahoma and to have someone that has so much credibility and such a great track record behind him, I think should be a exciting thing for Sooner fans and for this program, honestly, as they move forward. So ultimately, the physical jumps, the physical gains have been made there. They look good in spring practice. Also, one thing that we heard a lot about coming out of fall camp for Oklahoma was the tempo of the practices. If you know Brent Venables, if you've seen him and what he did at Clemson, you know he's high energy. He is the epitome of high energy. He had his own guy that was his quote-unquote get-back coach. All that means is when Brent Venables was getting too animated and probably getting out to the numbers on the football field, there was somebody there to rein him back and pull him back in. Which, if you have a grown man whose job is literally to just pull you back to the sideline, I mean, I don't know how you become any more high energy. And so that has translated to Sooner practices so far, because you've heard me say this if you've watched this program. Teams take on the persona of their coaches, especially the head coach. And so it's no surprise that they're pushing the tempo early in fall camp. And that's not always the case in fall camp. Sometimes the first day of fall camp is, okay, we're going to walk it through. We're going to install it. We're not going to go any competition drills. We're going to just kind of take this slow, walk before we run. Doesn't sound like that's the case. You had a lot of guys saying, hey, this was a practice that we had to respond to. It wasn't something where we were just getting out there and going through the motions. No, we had to find a way to respond to the kind of energy that Brent Venables is pushing and expecting from us in practice. And on day one, that's a good sign. Again, I told you, the sense of urgency at Oklahoma is renewed. There was a long stretch under the previous regime where Oklahoma had a lot of success, and after a while, you start to believe a little more in that logo than you do in the preparation. You start to kind of mail it in. You sort of go through the motions, become complacent. Brent Venables said it at the bowl game. He said there was a lot of nonchalantness when I watched us practice during the bowl week. Not anymore. Okay, that is long, long gone. You can rest assured. One critical area of this team, from a position group standpoint at least, is the wide receiver group. Because Jaden Hazelwood is gone. Mario Williams is gone. A lot of guys that added production last year have since left the program in one way, shape, or form or another. A lot of them via the portal. And so you look at who they have coming back, and it's a lot of guys outside of Marvin Mims and Drake Stoops that aren't super proven. And so Marvin Mims is great. I think he could be, maybe should be your number one wide receiver, definitely your most proven wide receiver so far. He's a guy you're excited about, but you look across this roster and say, okay, probably got to have somebody else step up. especially on the outside. You got Drake Stoops in the slot. Somebody else on the outside has to be a threat for us if we're going to get this offense to where it needs to ultimately go. Two guys that they're pretty excited about right now. The first, Jaleel Farouk, a guy who has a ton of physical ability. He's about 6'1", so a decent frame. They're excited about his explosive ability. They think he could be a guy that can hurt him down the field, can take the top off a defense, and add a whole new layer to this offense. Just about everybody in Norman is expecting him to have a breakout year. So that's Jaleel Farouk, a guy to know, a guy you probably already know and are excited about in Norman, but on the national landscape, I think you're going to hear about Jaleel Farouk in some circles moving forward. A guy that I'm really excited about and that we've heard rumblings about, but I'm excited to see the kind of role he takes on, is Theo Wease Jr. Theo Wease Jr. popped in his 2020 campaign. There were times where he flashed. I say popped in terms of you saw him have pop games. He got hurt in 2021. And obviously that was disappointing for everybody involved, but you had other guys that could step up. They're going to ask a lot of Theo Wease Jr. in 2022. And he's not necessarily a super fast 40 guy, but he's got really great game speed. Like, he took a couple passes in that 2020 season and just ate up some angles of the DBs. Also a 6'3" frame. He's someone that you could throw the ball to in one-on-one situations, win a 50-50 ball. I think he has to add that for them in order, again, for this offense to reach where it is capable of reaching. So for Dillon Gabriel, you got Marvin Mims, and I think you got Drake Stoops, obviously, who's more or less a known commodity, but you got to have Jaleel Farouk and Theo Wease Jr. come into their own. They're guys they're excited about and guys that we've heard good things about so far in terms of fall camp. Now, here's a name that a lot of Sooner faithful, again, probably know. He's a true freshman from the state of Kansas, Jaren Kanak. Jaren Kanak is a guy that I was told will play as a true freshman. Now, will he start? Remains to be seen. I think that would probably be a little bit ambitious, but if he ends up becoming a starter at some point during the year, works his way, plays his way into that role, do not be surprised. He is a freak show, folks. Listen to these numbers that he's putting up right now. 12 bench reps of 275. A lot of your favorite running backs in the NFL can't do more than 15 at 225. So there's that. 12 reps at 275. Dude's strong. He's got college strength already as a true freshman. 39-inch vertical. He's about 6'1", 6'2", 220 pounds. To get up that high as a linebacker, that's ridiculous. That explosiveness is unbelievable. Pair that with a 4.4 40 laser. Guy is fast, he's strong, he's physically ready to play right now, and they're really excited about him. It's not going to redshirt, not going to take his time and develop. He's ready to help you this season. So Jaren Kanak, a guy that you need to know and keep an eye on as you move forward in fall camp and as you move forward throughout the season for the Sooner faithful. So all that's to say, Oklahoma is continuing to trend how we thought they would on this show. Now, obviously, they haven't played a game yet. There's more to be determined. There's more to go into with fall camp. I think they just scrimmaged on, I want to say Saturday. Don't hold me to that. They're still getting their feet under them at fall camp, but so far, the early returns are looking about how we thought they would in Norman. So good things there for the Sooners. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.